guys, so today's video I hope is going to be really helpful for you all. I really hope it's not going to be super long, but basically in today's video, I know that probably at least like 80% of the videos on my channel deal with bare minerals, and I know that's what most of you guys like, but I feel like for any type of like helpful video that I try to do, there's always, you know, a new question that pops up. You know, how do I do this, or how do I get this to look this way? And basically in today's video, I seriously want to break down like every tip that I have ever given anyone over how to get your bare minerals to look flawless, how to get coverage with your bare minerals, how to just make the bare minerals work for your skin type. So in this video, I'm going to go over things that I've went over in the past. I'm going to go over new things that I have probably never mentioned before on my videos, and basically this is going to be like my entire breakdown on how to do your bare minerals, how to get it to look amazing, and just, you know, how to get it to work for you. So if you guys are interested in hearing these tips, then please keep on watching. Okay, so I'm going to basically start out with the base and work my way up. So what I mean by base is like your primer, your foundation, things like that. And basically this video, mostly the questions that I get asked are about foundation. I really don't get asked that much about like eyeshadows and stuff like that. It's more along the lines of getting coverage with the bare minerals. So I just want to let everyone know that you can get coverage. The majority of you guys that do watch my videos, you know that you love the bare minerals just as much as I do. But for new people who are just seeing my videos, just realizing, you know, that I do a lot of bare mineral tutorials, this is my way of, you know, basically breaking down every tip that I have ever given anyone in a video. So to start out with, I'm going to go ahead and mention the primers that bare minerals have. They've got numerous primers. I know they're starting to come out with like some limited edition ones, and sorry I keep touching my bangs, they just keep getting in my face. They are coming out with like newer ones. Like I know they have the neutralizing and they have the antioxidant primer, several different primers. There are going to be two that I am going to recommend to you hands down that I think are going to be your best bets, and that is the original and the brightening. The original is just the clear primer. It has that really velvety silicone finish to it. The brightening is the tinted primer, and it gives your skin more of a luminous finish, but it also feels more moisturizing to me on my skin, but it still has that velvety finish to it. I got asked a question the other day about the oil control primer. Someone said, I'm seeing my pores more, I'm not getting coverage with the foundation. I used the primer, and I was like, you know, what primer do you use? And they said the oil control. This is going to be a big tip that I'm going to share with you guys, and you guys know that I'm completely honest. I love Bare Minerals products, but the oil control primer is something that I personally never use on anyone. I don't use it on myself just because the finish of the oil control primer is more almost wet compared to the original and brightening primers, where those are velvety. The oil control primer just, to me, doesn't really fill in your pores. It doesn't really give you that velvety finish that you want with a primer. Therefore, your foundation, I have found, really doesn't stay on your skin as well. It doesn't give you as good of coverage. So my first tip would definitely be to start out with a great primer, and by great primer I mean the original or the brightening, or if you have tried the neutralizing, that's another one that I'm not like a huge fan of. If they work for you, then they work for you. You know, if you do use them and you're finding that really you're not getting the coverage that you want, I would definitely recommend switching primers. My go-to, definitely, I love the brightening because I have dry skin and it just really gives me a nice luminous finish. But for anyone who is just starting out, or anyone who has had problems with the primer in the past, I would just recommend going for the original. Okay, so next I'm obviously going to be moving on to foundation, and I'm going to go over the original foundation and the ready foundation as well. With the original foundation, I have said this in every single Bare Mineral kind of tip video that I have ever done, and I'm just going to repeat it in this one just because I think you can't really say it enough. Do not overuse your foundation. I've showed how much foundation that I personally use myself in previous videos in my Bare Minerals I think it was the starter kit video, how to properly apply your Bare Minerals. I can't tell you how many people wrote back to me and said, oh my gosh, just from using less, I can't believe how much better my makeup looks. So for those of you who are just starting out or have, again, never seen my videos, what I mean by less is by using super small amounts of your Bare Minerals. I mean just a couple taps in the lid. For the fullest coverage, you're going to want to use the Full Flawless Face Brush. Use very small amounts and gradually build that coverage up. Don't dump your foundation in. Don't dump a ton of your foundation in and just sweep it on really quickly, because you're not going to get coverage that way. You really want to start out with very small amounts. And if you want to know how much I use, then I do have kind of the amount that I use.
Really? Really? Do you hear that out there? Do you hear this guy that was behind me? This is my life. This guy thinks he's a drag racer or something.
Anyways, if you haven't seen the amount that I use, go check out my past Bare Minerals videos over how to properly apply your foundation to get coverage, and that will explain it. But I definitely wanted to include that in this video, because if you are using a ton of the foundation and not taking the time to buff it in, then it's really not going to work out as good for you. Okay, so moving on to the Ready foundation, and by Ready I mean the actual compact foundation that Bare Minerals has. This is still the powder, only in a compact form. The biggest question that I get with the Ready foundation is a lot of people have mentioned that they feel like it just sits on top of their skin. It doesn't really blend in. And I think a big reason for that is, again, make sure you're using a primer. Make sure you let that primer sit in for a couple of minutes, just so your makeup isn't really adhering to the primer and making it a little bit more visible. The next thing that I personally think is the reason for that is the brush that they actually designed for it. This is the Precision Face Brush, and it's basically just a flat top kabuki brush. The way they marketed the Ready foundation is to get full coverage, you need to have this brush, which I totally disagree with. You do not need to have this brush to get full coverage. But the way they described to do it was to tap and then sweep on your face. That personally works out okay for me. I mean, I don't really have problems with it. But to seriously get a seamless and flawless finish with this foundation, I go in with something a little bit more fluffier to begin with. So, for instance, I'll go in with either my Full Flawless Face Brush or the Real Techniques large powder brush. Now, I know this one isn't from Bare Minerals, but this brush really does lay down a good base with the Ready foundation. Then if you do want more coverage, I just go in with the Precision flat top brush and kind of add on to that. But by using the larger brushes, I feel like this really buffs into the skin, whereas the Precision face brush kind of, again, you just sweep it on. So it's kind of, you know, a little bit more layered on top of your skin, if that makes sense. Whereas if you were to go in with a fluffier brush with the Ready foundation and buff that in, I feel like that's really going to give you more of a flawless finish. So that's the biggest complaint I have with the Ready foundation, is that it's, you know, kind of just staying on top of the skin. Another concern that I have with the Ready foundation is that, not me personally, but you know, concerns that people come to me with, is it being too light. And the Ready foundations, Bare Minerals has said numerous times, these are generally tend to be a shade lighter than what you would wear in the original or the matte foundation. And the only way that I can tell you to, you know, find your right match is to actually go to a store and get matched. Just because you wear light in the original foundation doesn't mean you're going to wear light in the Ready. So if you're, you know, having problems with the Ready foundation, make sure you get color matched. Make sure you're okay with that color. And I will be honest, not everyone has a, you know, exact color match in the Ready. I have found that for several tan skin tones, that the actual tan foundations can be a little bit too light. So if the Ready isn't working out for you, my go-to is still the original. I love the original. I would just stick with it. Okay, and moving on to those of you who are total full coverage people, you definitely are never really caught with just wearing light coverage. This is a big thing that I think people don't really know that Bare Minerals offer, and most people who are avid Bare Minerals users will know about it, but you know, some people who are, you know, thinking about switching over probably don't know how awesome this product is. And of course, you guys who watch my videos probably know what I'm going to say, but it is the powder concealers. I use Well Rested, which is obviously for fair skin. And then you've got your bisque, your summer bisque, your honey bisque, and your dark bisque. Those are all the powder concealers that Bare Minerals offers. If you cannot get full coverage, and I'm going to say this very prominently, if you cannot get full coverage with this powder concealer, then I don't know what else to tell you, because this literally makes my skin look flawless. It makes clients who I do makeup on, their skin look flawless. It covers everything up. And if you don't think it does, then I really don't know what else to tell you, because this stuff, this is it. You need to have this in your life if you're a total full coverage person. I will give you a couple tips on applying it. I used to use the actual Bare Minerals concealer brush. This is the Max Coverage Concealer Brush. You get it in your starter kit. That works really well for like blemishes, like if you've got dark spots or any type of blemishes you want to spot cover. I would definitely recommend going in with this brush. If you are more of a like full coverage person and you want this kind of all over your face, I can't tell you enough how this Real Techniques brush has changed my life when applying the powder concealer. This is the contour brush. I don't use it to contour, I use it for my powder concealer, but you guys know if you watch my videos that I literally put the powder concealer all over my face. I mean, I put it underneath my eyes, I put it on the sides of my nose, I put it on my chin, anywhere where I have freckles, anywhere where I may just have some imperfections, this stuff goes. And I really can't, you know, vouch for this stuff enough. I think it's amazing. And if you are just using the foundation without the concealer and you're not happy with the coverage, I can promise you that you will love this concealer. I mean, I don't think I've met anyone who hasn't loved this concealer. It is literally a lifesaver, and it will honestly make your skin look so flawless. So definitely, if you're not getting the coverage you want with just the foundation, go out and buy a Well Rested, go out and buy a bisque or summer bisque, and you will not regret it. Okay, so I hope you guys are not getting totally bored of these tips. These are just things that I do on a daily basis that help me get a full coverage. So moving on, I have some more tips. Again, for you full coverage people, if you are total foundation, concealer, highlighter, blush, all that stuff, then I would definitely recommend using the mineral veils. Now, I have the original mineral veil here, which is the loose mineral veil, the compact mineral veil in translucent, which is just basically this mineral veil in a compact, and then I also have the new colored touch-up veils. There's so many mineral veils you can pick from now. This is the medium touch-up veil. Now, I am a firm believer in the mineral veil because I think, again, it really gives you that flawless finish. It really does help to blend everything together. You know, if you got your contour a little too strong or your blush a little too strong, you can go in with the mineral veil and it literally just, it's like a magic blender for your face, if that makes any sense. But it literally just blends everything together, makes you look so flawless. It also helps to minimize the appearance of your pores. I will go ahead and say that I think the new touch-up veils that have the actual color to them, I will say that I think these give extra coverage. So again, if you're a total full coverage person and you're not a fan of the original mineral veil, go out and try one of the new touch-up veils. I have mine in medium, so if you're a little bit darker, you may want to try out the tan kind. But definitely, if you're not using the veil, go out and try them. I'm more partial to the new compact veils as opposed to the original veil. I do still use the original veil. I like it. I mean, it's a great product, but I've just really been loving the compact veils ever since they came out, just because they're a little bit more convenient, and especially the new colored veils, because I feel like they do give you that extra coverage if you are, again, more of a full coverage type person. Okay, so moving on to some newer products. This has been a pretty popular question in a lot of my videos, is how to get the cream concealer. This is the correcting concealer, the SPF 20 correcting concealer, and also the Stroke of Light eye brightener. So these are both fairly new products. How to get these to not crease underneath your eyes. That has been a big question for me, and personally, you guys know I'm more of a fan of the actual powder concealers as opposed to these, just because I can't say enough good things about the powdered concealers. But my biggest tip for using the cream concealer is to try it out both ways. And by both ways, I mean try it out using it underneath your foundation. If that doesn't work, use it on top of your foundation, because I've seen it both ways, and it really just depends on your skin type. It really just depends on if you do have wrinkles underneath your eyes. I unfortunately do have some fine lines underneath there, so that's why I tend to just go for the powder concealer as opposed to these. But I will say that the cream concealer is very good for correcting darkness underneath the eyes. Anytime that I use the cream concealer or the Stroke of Light, I normally just use them before my foundation. And I really normally don't really have any problems with them creasing, but the best advice I could definitely give for you is to try it both ways, see how it works out. If it doesn't work out, again, go back to your powder concealer because it's foolproof. And that's kind of the best tips that I'm going to have for these two products. I think they're good, but they're not, you know, staples in my everyday products like the powder concealers are. Okay, and probably the last tip that I am going to have is, again, a really popular question that people ask me, and that is over the infamous warmth, the overall face color, the bronzer that you're going to get in most of your starter kits. It's kind of the you hate it or you love it product, I find with people, but the biggest question that I get asked is how to properly use the warmth, because it ends up looking either orange, it ends up looking too dark, or it just ends up making your makeup look, I've had someone say, muddy. So, a tip that I gave in my first video was to literally use 2 sprinkles of it. I'm not even joking, like literally 2 tiny like speckles of it. If you have fair skin and you feel like you do need the bronzer, you feel like you do need the warmth, it's all about using very small amounts of it. And you can go back to that video again, it's on how to properly apply, and you can see how much I use, and you'll probably be astonished that it is barely any, and you just kind of gradually build that up. If you're still having problems even after trying that, my second recommendation would be to mix it with your mineral veil. So this is the translucent powder that I just got done talking about. I would recommend mixing the two together because this is really going to lighten it up. And if you guys remember the Remix Trend collection that came out this past summer, they had the bronzing mineral veil. And I recommend to a bunch of you guys, you know, if you didn't have the money to go out and buy that, but you were really interested in it, mix your warmth and your mineral veil together and you will get almost like an exact finish. So if you're looking for more of a light bronzed effect, definitely mix these two together. Again, if that doesn't work after that, then my next recommendation would just be to go to the Ready bronzers and try out the Skinny Dip, which is the lightest bronzer that they offer. It is seriously so light that even on my fair complexion, sometimes I have to go back in 3 or 4 times just to get it to show up. So if you guys, again, are having problems with the warmth and you want to stick with Bare Minerals, but you don't know what kind of bronzer to go to next, then I would definitely recommend trying out the Skinny Dip because it is a very light bronzer, it's very natural, and it won't turn you orange. So definitely check out this if you're not really into the warmth. Okay guys, so those are my tips. I hope I covered everything. I think that I did. Those tend to be the most asked questions. Those tend to be the biggest tips that I do give people. And if you guys still have questions after this video, don't feel like you can't comment down below. Don't feel like you're afraid to comment because I'm sure there are still a couple questions that I you know, didn't answer. I know there's could be numerous questions out there that I didn't answer, but these are just kind of the most common questions I get asked, and then also the most common tips that I tend to give people. So I hope this helped you in some way. Be looking forward to, this has been another requested video, is how to pick your foundation shade. I'm trying to figure out how I would go about filming that, you know, as far as showing you the colors. Obviously I'm not going to have all of the Bare Minerals colors, but I can definitely lay out the tones, lay out the shades for you, and you know, maybe give you a better idea of what, you know, foundation shade you should go with. Also, coming up very soon is going to be the Best in Bare Minerals lip edition video. That was another one that was requested months ago, but like I said, I wanted to get some of the holiday lip stuff just to kind of share with you guys, and that will definitely be coming up soon. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will definitely see you in the next one. Bye.